Hello guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be diving into Manor Lords with a demo just being released on Steam as part of the Steam Next Fest. We can play it for this next week. Now it does only include the city building part of the game. Now if you're unfamiliar with Manor Lords, it's quite hard to describe really, but essentially it's a city builder with RTS elements. Basically you got to build your town up, get an economy running, and you'll also be able to train units which will be mustered from your own citizens in your little village. You can hire mercenaries, and then the actual fighting is going to be a bit like Total War, but it's all happening in real time on the map as you're doing your city building as well. So there's a lot to it, but let's dive in, have a little look. So it looks as though there are going to be 3 different game modes. So you've got the Robber Baron, which is where an infamous knight is residing in a castle up north. Build up your strength, and when you're ready, lay claim to his lands and defeat him. You've got Realm Conquest, so due to a tangled history, there are some multiple claimants to these disputed lands. Use economy, diplomacy, and warfare to your advantage. And then you've got Rise to Prosperity, so you're the first lord to settle these lands. Start from nothing and build a prosperous medieval city. So Rise to Prosperity, which is the only one that's available in the demo, is very much just the city building aspect. So there's no fighting or diplomacy, it's just get your economy going, build up a nice little town. The other 2 looks as though there's one of them is going to be more focused towards military and perhaps all the sorts of things you would find in games like Crusader Kings, with that sort of diplomacy sort of aspect to it, and the other one's probably a bit of a mixture of the 2. So let's dive in. Rise to Prosperity. So you can dive in and you can change your banner. There is an option to upload a custom banner that you can sort of create, but I can't seem to get it to work, so we're not going to do that. But you can change the name, you can select a portrait. Now these will all have their own little third-person view in game, so you can actually take control of your little avatar and walk around your town and check it out. Basically, I don't know whether you'll be able to fight with him. That'd be pretty cool if you can. Not sure if you can, but this is the only one that's actually got the model made up at the moment, so we'll select that one. In terms of our flag then, so I did play around with this, try and get the British sort of coat of arms that you find in Age of Empires 2, but the way that the little lines were positioning is not really how it needs to be. It's going in the wrong direction basically, so not going to do that. I did toy with the idea of going for a House Lannister style coat of arms, but what I'm going to do instead is if I can't be English, I'll be the next best thing, and that is the Welsh. So I'm going to make a Welsh themed coat of arms. So the standard, or the coat of arms, is going to be sort of Welsh themed here. So let's don't need to make that a little bit bigger. No, it should be okay. Just need to change the colours of these things. So the primary colour for that one is red. I think that needs to be green. I think it's green at the bottom if I remember rightly. And the top one, we need to make the primary colour white. And we need the second colour to be red. There we go. So I'm going to make that dragon a little bit bigger there as well. There we go, that's better. Right, now we just need to give him a strong Welsh name. Let's call him Sir Daffyd. There we go. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's have a little look at this new little message we've got. So there's a fire at the heart of every settlement, a bastion of safety, warmth and light against the darkness of the world. On this cold spring morning, your men blow on their fingertips, their breath clouding in the air. There's plenty of work for them to warm them. Blah 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 blah. I'm not going to read all that. Objectives: build a granary, logging camp, hunting camp, and a storehouse. So I have played through this a couple of times now. This demo. First time, I starved to death. Second time, everyone starved to death, but then recovered. Well, not then. They were dead, but the village recovered. So yeah, and then I ended up completing the demo. So let's have a little look. So we need to make a few buildings. So logging camp, hunting camp, granary and storehouse. So essentially granary in your storehouse. It works the same as many other city builders where you've got to have these to basically just transport your resources around, go and collect the resources, bring them back to your stores. They do all the work basically. You will have to allocate some people to all the little buildings, so you've got to really manage your economy quite well. So it's almost a bit like a 4X game, like Civilization in that sort of respect, where you're just managing your little workers, allocating them to certain buildings, and so on and so on. So we do have this ox, which takes all your supplies around, or your wood, basically just transports your logs. It can help with farms as well, but you only get one of them. So later on in the game it gets really slow and a little bit monotonous, if you like, so quite boring. Not boring, but it just takes forever for it to get stuff done, because you've got such a big town and then there's just one ox. I expect in the full game you'll be able to have a couple of those. There's probably going to be some research you can get, but the most important thing with the game is to make sure you've got a good food economy going. So you want to get some farms down, or a farm, as quickly as possible. But first of all, let's go for these granary, logging camp, storehouse. Well, I've got the storehouse and the granary on the way. Just need the logging camp and the hunting camp. So obviously the logging camp will get us logs to build with. So there's no lumber mill or anything. You don't need a lumber mill. Just get a logging camp. They'll deal with it all there. So put the logging camp there, and then we need a hunting camp. So there should be, yeah, we've got a couple of deer patches here in this region. There's no berries by the looks of it. And there's another one here. It's got 3 lots of berries, but you can zoom out. You can see the full. You can't see the full maps because I'm placing the building, but there's lots of different regions you can go to. Okay, place a hunting cabin there, or hunting camp, and we'll see what happens. So just got to kind of wait for those to be built now. So we do have 5 settlers, or 5 workers. They'll build the buildings. Now it's a bit weird because it works as on the side. It kind of does it by families. So each family will eventually have more than just the people. The five men will have more than that. So when you're assigning them to a building, you're actually assigning the whole family and not just the individual men. The men can be conscripted into the army a little bit later on in the game. Obviously we can't do that in the demo. It's purely for showing off the building aspect of the game. But it's really good. It's a game I've been looking forward to for the sort of like 2 years really. Let's speed this up. I've been tracking the development for 2 years, so to finally get my hands on the game is just amazing. So I was really excited for Age of Empires 4. I've been more excited for this than I was Age of Empires 4. So I'm hoping I'm not going to have the same level of disappointment. I mean, this is going to be an early access game when it does get released. So the developer will still be working on it, bug fixing, adding new features. But from what I can see, there's already quite a bit for, from the military side of things that they've been working on, stuff that has been shown on Twitter. So it looks really exciting. And as I say, it's going to be a bit like Total War, where you've got formations of mass troops, but it's all going to be real time. So whilst your villagers here doing all the stuff, you've got an army, big army marching forth over here to take on the next little bit of territory. So let's have a look. Those are almost in, but yeah, you can see it takes too long for things, in my opinion. It takes too long for buildings to be made. Even if you're whacking it into times 16 speed, it's taking forever for resources to get around, and it just takes a long time. So you're going to need to sink a lot of hours into the game, but it is fun. It is fun, but I tend to just play it pretty much on the vast majority of the time on times 16 speed. So I do want to get a farm down. I'm not got enough resources. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait. Definitely need a farm. I need 2 more logs. Yeah, I'm probably being a bit premature with that because I'm going to need some more houses first. So you can get houses. The houses will then obviously give you more population. More families will come and join. So the burgage plots, that's your houses basically. And we need a well as well. So that's the new objectives. So we'll get a well down. Like so. We have to find a water vein. So we've got a water vein here. So we'll just put it on there. We should get the well, and then we need some of these houses. It does cost 2 logs. We're not going yet, so we're gonna have to wait for these loggers to do what they're doing. And we're gonna need some food coming in, but you can see quite quickly that you run out of workers. Now, I like to keep one unassigned so that they can do other stuff, but I put it to the hitching post just so there's always someone manning the ox there and taking them around everywhere. But yeah, we do need to get some houses. You can freeze to death. The villagers can freeze to death in the winter, as well as starve. So you do have to collect fuel or firewood, which is what we'll end up doing a little bit later on. We're fine for now, but we'll just wait for me to gather some logs. It's going to take a while, so let's come back when I've got enough logs to make the houses. Okay, so we've finally got enough logs to make the houses, so I'm just going to do that now. Just show you how you can make them. It's actually quite good, quite an intuitive way of doing it. So you're just essentially making a plot of land. So you can just draw your outlines, and then gives you the 5. We've got 5 plots there. So you can make them, if it was shorter, it does alter it a little bit. If you get to a stage like that, you can see that little cross has disappeared. The cross represents like giving it an upgrade. So you can actually make them self-sufficient, where they've got a little vegetable garden. They can make their own vegetables, which is something we'll do later on in the game. But certainly for now, we're just going to get those houses down. You can rotate them around as well, so if you want them to go that way, you could do, or that way, or that way. But we'll have it that way, so all the little dots there which represent sort of road join points, so we'll place those down and they will get built. Now, this game I've found is very, very in-depth. So not only have you got to manage your economy accordingly in terms of making sure you've got enough food being produced and everything else, you then want to micromanage the number of workers you have in each building throughout certain periods of the year. So it does have a yearly sort of seasonal aspect to it. So spring, summer, autumn, winter. For example, if you've got berries and you've got villagers gathering from the berry bushes, in winter the berries will all die off. There won't be any more berries being regrown on the bushes, so you can remove those workers, put them elsewhere, and so on and so on. So little tweaks here and there. Sometimes you might find that you're just running out of food a little bit, so you'll perhaps increase the number of workers that are working in the communal ovens, basically a bakery, to get your bread production up, all sorts of things. So you will find you've got to tweak it here and there as you go through the game, perhaps depending on where your strengths and weaknesses are. If you've not got enough people working in your granary and your storehouse later on, when you've got quite a big economy going, you'll notice that perhaps a lot of the goods are just being left in the actual building, so at the logging camp, for example, because you've not got enough people working in the storehouse or granary to go and collect those items. So it's quite a fine balancing act. It certainly is. So be interesting to see how it all ties together once we've also got military aspect and sort of conscripting all the men from the families. So yeah, it's certainly going to be quite an interesting one. going forward. Something that I'm really looking forward to. So as soon as we've got enough wood, what I'm going to do is get a farm down, but it's going to take a while because we've got to make these houses first. So let's jump forwards in time. Okay, so we finally got all of those houses built. It's taken quite a while. It's probably taken about 4 minutes on times 16 speed, so you know it's not a fast game by any means. And I think that's why there's no multiplayer planned for it, because I don't think you can play multiplayer with this. Not in its format that it is here. So there'd probably have to be quite a big overhaul of the game really to fit in multiplayer, because it will just take too long. It takes. If I'd have left that building in real time speed, it would have taken forever. Those 5 buildings, and that's probably my biggest bugbear. It's just so slow to do everything. The game is fantastic and it looks amazing. I mean, mine's not the best computer, so the graphics aren't probably as good as other ones would showcase it, but it is a fantastic game. I mean, just you know, you can zoom right out, you can see the map here. Eventually you would do loads of trading or conquering of all these different regions. There'll be other lords there that you can go to war with. So there's loads of stuff you can do, but or wherever I ended up. I've ended up in the trees. I don't even know if it's in my land. No, it wasn't. So anyway, we've got a new message. We got our 5 houses. So new objectives: we need to get a firewood store, a food store, clothing store, and we need 3 level 2 burgage plots. Now, for the burgage plots, it all sounds a lot more simple than objectives than it actually is. To upgrade these, we need to be able to supply the houses with 2 different types of food, 2 different types of clothing, entertainment, and faith. So we need a tavern, a church. We need 2 different forms of production for clothing, which will include farms, and then well, we can have a tanner for turning the animal deer hides into leather, and then the farm we can have a crop that will do. We'll be able to get linen from via another little weaver. I think it is a weaver building, and then obviously different types of food as well. So there's quite a lot to do. We can see, look, we can upgrade. We can add the vegetables in, but we're not going to do that yet, because it's just going to be one house with vegetables. So eventually we will need to get iron. That's stone. That's a stone deposit. We don't actually need stone in the demo. We do have an iron deposit all the way over there, so we will need iron later on, so we can make some tools, and we can start adding gardens, vegetable plots to those. So still not got enough wood for a farm yet, which is annoying. I need another one log, but my little ox has been busy building all those houses. So, and that's why I say you need to have more than 1 ox. You know, being restricted to 1 ox is ridiculous, if I'm honest. If you can have loads of oxes, that's probably how you would improve the game. Have lots of oxes, because at the minute it's just too slow. There we go. We've got a 4th one now, so we can get a farm in somewhere. I want to get the farm fairly close to where the ox is, because the ox can help with some of the transport of the crops once they've been harvested. So you can make some fields. Probably just make a couple. Kind of. Well, I had 3 last time, which worked out pretty well. That's going to be a medium-sized field. I'll do 2. I'll do 2 for now. But you do have these overlays here as well. So both of those fields will be good for getting grain. Not so good for flax. So flax is where you get your linen from. But I suppose that one would be okay. Barley, that one for barley as well. Possibly that one for a bit of barley. So they'll both be good for the grain. Both be okay for barley, and that one would be better off for the flax as well. So yeah, a bit of a mixture of different crops there. You can actually have do a bit of crop rotation. So you've got 3 different crops. So you can have fallow, which is basically just left alone for a year, just wait for all the nutrients to go back into the ground. You can also have those different ones we've spoke about. So I'm going to go for the Emma crop to start off with. Second year, we'll do crop rotation. We'll go for barley, and then we'll leave it to sit for a year. This one we'll do the should we leave it fallow? Yeah, we'll leave it fallow, and then we'll do crops and then flax, so we can start looking at getting that second clothing tab as well. So 2 lots of grain and then one of the others. Okay, so hopefully that'll get built soon. We can start doing a little bit of work towards those. Could really do some more houses and get that population up, because all it's done is it's given the existing families we had homes, so it's not really achieving too much at this point. So we do need to increase that so we can get more workers, we get people working on the farm there, and start looking at getting that increased food eco in. So when you go on a hunting camp, you can actually have a hunting limit, so you can't go any less than 20 here. Obviously you can increase that, decrease that. We'll probably put it down to 16. At the moment there's 29 wild animals there. There was 32 earlier. That has dropped a bit, but we'll put it back on tab 16 speed. We'll get that farm built and see where everything goes from there. I'm probably going to leave it for a little bit, to be fair, and come back a little bit later where we've perhaps started to build up a bit more of economy. Okay, so I thought I'd come back at this point just to show you how amazing the game looks when it's winter and you've got the snow. The scenery all changes. It starts to snow and then eventually it all settles on the buildings, and it just looks gorgeous. The whole game just looks amazing. They've done such a beautiful job in making the game. The characters all look pretty good. I mean, the zoom levels are fantastic, but everything is just so amazing. It just looks beautiful. Not only that though, the audio, the music is fantastic. But a little bit of an update as to how the little village is going. I've added some more houses. We've been able to expand a bit there. We've got a woodcutter's lodge, so we needed that because we're running out of fuel or firewood. Obviously being winter, all these houses need some firewood, so I needed to get those up and running. And I did think about just preemptively getting the windmill ready and a communal oven, so I can start getting the bakery up and running as soon as I've got some crops. But there's actually going to be almost a year of in-game time before I even have gathered any of my resources, any of the grain to go into the mill. So it's going to take a long time, but I thought I'd get them ready just to make a start on that later on in the game. I wanted them to be ready, so I didn't want to have to suddenly wait for the buildings to be made. Just wanted them to be there straight away, ready. But yeah, nothing else has really happened at this point, so I'll come back later. Okay, so it's probably been a good hour or so past since we last spoke. A lot has happened, as you can see. Town's looking quite a bit different since you were last here. So we were able, well, just to give you a rundown, what happened. Basically, we managed to get our crops, and we've ended up with an absolute ton of grain and wheat. So basically, when you've harvested the wheat, in the farm it will thresh the wheat, which will turn it into grain. I feel like you get 6 units of grain per 1 unit of wheat. There's quite a lot. Then that's enabled us to be able to get the mill working. We've had the communal oven working as well, so we're making lots and lots of bread, and we can see we've got a lot, quite a good amount of stock, food in stock. Pleased to know this is the first run through of the game where I've not starved everybody. So definitely need to get that farm down and get this bread economy up and running pretty quickly, because it's just ridiculously strong, to be honest. Yeah, sets you up for life, really. What else have I done? Obviously, as you can see, expanded the housing situation. We do have a little market area there now, so we've got a few stores there. Nothing much happening there, but that's obviously covered these little objectives that we had going. I've been able to set up a mining camp, so I decided that I needed to get some tools because I would possibly need to start growing some vegetables in the gardens of the houses, so these houses are then pretty much self-sufficient. But I've got the tools, but I've not planted anything yet. So the way you would do that is basically just clicking on the town. You've got this little construct extension, and you can click onto one of these. Now I do actually have some other options for eggs and goats and vegetable gardens, so I'm actually going to probably spend a bit of money on some of these and also get a vegetable garden, because I've not actually used the goat and chicken one yet, so I'm going to do that. Now the reason I've been able to do that costs money, so I actually set up some trading posts. So I've got trading posts there. I've been able to sell pelts through here. So if we look at the trading menu, if you click on one of these, so we're trading some pelts, you can adjust what your target needs to be, so how many of those you want in stock, and then eventually it will sell whatever excess you've got, providing you've clicked on the trade rule for export only. So on default it's don't trade. Click it once, it'll turn it into import. Click it again and it turns it into export. So I could probably get rid of a few bits. There's also full trade there as well. So importing or exporting just to try and match your stock and target figures. So if you've got a bit of a surplus, it'll export. If you end up running out, it'll import if you're on that one. So I've been able to do that, and we've been able to get quite a bit of money. Now what I also did is set up a livestock trading post, and as you can see, I have got some sheep in my little pasture here. So I did get a pasture, starting to slowly get some sheep in, and not only that, I've increased my oxen count as well. So where I was moaning before about how you can only have one oxen, I've discovered that you can actually have more oxen than just one. I've got 3 now, so I was able to get those in through the livestock trading post. Obviously you need some money first, so you'll need the trading post, sell some stuff, and then you'll be able to start buying some livestock in. So I've got 3 oxen now, which is making things a lot easier, a lot quicker to move stuff around, get buildings down quicker. So it's much better in that respect. What else have I done? Started to run out of logs, so I made another logging camp, and also reset the work area for the other one. Got some foresters down, so the foresters will plant trees and replenish the area where you've been logging, basically. So that's that. Here we go, we've got our goats and chickens in here now. We've got a little vegetable patch in that garden. That'll start growing soon. What else have we done? I've got tanners. Where's the tanner? It's around here somewhere. There's a tannery. So that's going to start making leather from the pelts I do have. In the process of making a weaver's workshop or weaver shop. That's going to make some clothing out of wool from the sheep. We've also got some more crops coming in. So we've got flax and we've got barley. So once they get harvested, the flax will be able to make some linen at the weaver shop. So we'll have our 2 clothing sources, which is part of our condition for upgrading some houses. So we've got 1 so far, so that's your leather. We just need another one, so that'll be either wool or yarn. Sorry, yarn or cloth. We've got the 2 food sources that we need, so bread and meat. Probably have milk and chickens now as well. Entertainment I still need, so I still need the pub, which I'll need a malt house and a brewery to then supply the pub or the tavern, and I need a church. So once I've got those few little buildings, should be good to go to the next bit. So yeah, quite a lot's changed, so certainly recommend with this game, get down your farm pretty quickly so that you don't starve everybody, and start looking at getting these trading posts up and start exporting some goods and getting in some livestock, especially the oxen. That's really been beneficial. But that's it. I'm going to end the video here. Do head over to Steam and download the demo for play of it yourself. It is quite, it's one of those games you need to be able to sit down and chill with. Just take a little while, but it is fantastic, and it's such a beautiful game, and the music's amazing as well. So it's not disappointed. It does live up to the hype. But that's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one.